get them to expect more and to demand more with respect to respect for human rights. So maybe I'll stop there. Just one other thing in terms of, lastly, how we can work together, I think, with Binta, your collective new organization, as well as local groups. But I really think there's a role for a diaspora in terms of both partnering with local groups and also flagging when things start to fall apart. With almost all of the countries that we have covered, a crisis is decades in the making. The Rwandan genocide was decades in the making. People were trying to flag it, and they weren't being listened to. Armed conflict in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, these conflicts didn't come out of nowhere. They were a result of decades of corruption and bad governance and exploitation and abusive governance. They were decades in the making, and nobody was there flagging or very few people were there, not enough people were there flagging to governments that things are falling apart. And I think that is a role that your organization, that local organizations, and even we should do, but we don't do enough preventative work. We, like journalists, we wait until the situation has crumbled and fallen apart and you have a failed state. And at that point, you just look at how much work it takes to put a Liberia or a Sierra Leone back together again, when the institutions have completely disintegrated, and how much human suffering has happened as a result of those institutions failing. And I think all of us should try to adapt more of a preventative, including my own organization, it's this auto-critique of Human Rights Watch, is trying to flag these issues earlier, do preventative work, talk about setting up anti-corruption commissions, human rights commissions, talk about key legal cases that can flag some of these issues. And that's where a group like this can come in, is flagging to diplomats and others, using the information on the ground that you're getting from your local partners to say, we have a problem here. One day, if we don't watch out, without being sort of overstating the case, but simply flagging, having information and flagging to policymakers that there are some profound problems in the making, so that we can prevent some of these problems we end up, and the international community has to spend millions of dollars in peacekeeping operations to address. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Organizing this event and giving us all the opportunity for being here today. As Corinne said, it's an excellent opportunity for us all to talk about the important topic of human rights in Africa. And I will talk about it from the perspective of political rights. That's sort of my entry point to this. I'm the Deputy Director for Central and West Africa at NDI, the National Democratic Institute. So that's the part of Africa I'm the most familiar with. And I wanted to also take the opportunity to speak first a bit about NDI. Some of you may know us already, some of you may not. And this is a great opportunity for us to get to know more of you. NDI is a non-profit, non-partisan organization that was opened its doors in 1984. And the goal of NDI is to support and strengthen democratic institutions across the globe through citizen participation, openness, and accountability in government. NDI is loosely affiliated with the Democratic Party. And Secretary Albright is our chairman of the board, but as I mentioned, we are absolutely non-partisan in our approach. We work with local parties from across the political spectrum in our work. We have about 70 officers spread across the globe and a staff of about 1,000 people. And the staff, like myself, many of us are not American. We come from about 90 different countries. So though our base, our headquarters is here in the US, we are truly, and we consider ourselves truly an international organization. NDI works primarily in 5 areas. We work with political parties that we consider as crucial for channeling political participation. We work on democratic governance, meaning we support parliaments, local councils.
This is the role of my sister Binta. What can we do to protect, to give the maximum of guarantees for this? This is the role of civil society, the role of